In October 2020, we made history at the South Moreton Boxing Club by staging the world's first behind-closed-doors white-collar boxing show. We got over 10,000 views on the night across 103 countries. Now we're bringing the live rumble back, bigger and better than before. Follow the fighters in the build-up and vote on the night for your favourites. See all the thrills, spills and skills from the best in white-collar boxing, live and free at the KO Cup.
Okay, Peter, so this morning, no surprise, I just wanted to talk about Taylor Ramirez. I know we previewed it last week and it lived up to all the expectations and, you know, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but it lived up to all the predictions. It was a real tussle, it was a back and forth fight and Taylor came through on points. I thought just the greater versatility, which is what saw him through, and it's a fantastic win. So I just wanted to look at the fight briefly. Look at what this means for Taylor and where both fighters go from here, and also review a little bit about what it might mean for boxing and a few of the things that it showed up that maybe as boxing, you know, we should flag up. But, you know, coming to the fight initially, as we said, these were two guys in their prime. You know, Taylor was coming in, it was Taylor's 18th fight, it was going to be Ramirez's 27th fight. Both were undefeated, both were multiple world champions or unified world champions, with Ramirez having the WBC and the WBO belt and Taylor the IBF and the WBA. So we were and they're both in their prime. Taylor's 30, Ramirez is 28. Both have been looking superb at every level they've stepped up at. So we were kind of guaranteed a fabulous fight. Also, I really thought the styles were going to gel. Ramirez is very come forward, you know, throws a beautiful left hook to the body, left hook to the head, and then often uppercuts, you know, as well after that left hook pulls people's arms away. So, and Taylor, you know, just has that versatility, but that toughness, that will to win. And I just thought these guys were on a great collision course. It was guaranteed to be a great fight. It reminded me a bit of Taylor's last unification fight against Regis Prograis. You know, I thought it was going to be a similar type of fight, and he was going to grit it out in the end, because what's always impressed me, you know, as well as his marvellous skill set, his fitness, his dedication, his will to win is, I think, almost second to none. You know, and obviously on the line, it was going to become the first Mexican-American to be a four-belt title holder, or the first British and Scottish fighter to be a four-belt world title holder. So it was really, it was a leap for greatness for both of them, and the fight didn't disappoint. You know, it came out superbly. I thought Taylor started really well in the first couple of rounds. Ramirez was kind of sizing him up. Taylor got his jab going early, won the battle of the jabs early, and I thought that was brilliant. His tactics were really good. He stood and traded when he needed to stand and trade. He moved off, you know, to his right when he needed to, moved very well. And like I say, the jab, which we haven't seen so much from Taylor, you know, because he does like to have it with people, I thought was really coming into play in the first couple of rounds. Ramirez stepped it up in the third and came on strong, and then you started to think, oh, hold on, has Ramirez got other levels that we haven't seen and that Taylor can't cope with? You know, and Taylor did look a bit sort of discombobulated by that. That's that third round, fourth round, and then in the you know, so it was going back and forth. I thought Ramirez, you know, started to come into the fight, and then of course we came to the sixth round. Absolutely wonderful boxing from Taylor, just sort of slid back, slipped to right hand from Ramirez and came over with that left hook, and Ramirez was down. You know, it did look a bit of a flash knockdown, didn't look too bad that. Ramirez came back in, and then in the seventh round, again, lovely bit of work from Taylor, just nudged him off, and again, the left uppercut, and that really, towards the end of the round, really seemed to take Ramirez out. And you know, I do think, if, you know, the referee hadn't given him an extra couple of seconds, if there was another 10, 15 seconds in the round, you know, Ramirez looked all out, you know, and Taylor did look like he could finish it then. But then you've got to give credit to Ramirez. He came back, he cleared his head, you know, came back in the eighth, you know, and it was quite a tussle. And then obviously, so by now, you know, Ramirez was quite behind on the cards. And to be fair to him, he really came out strong at the end of the fight. He took all 4 rounds on one judge's card. He took the last 3 rounds on the other 2 judges' cards. So he did have a strong finish, you know, a very good 11th. And by the 12th, I think Taylor was thinking, I've got this in the bag, you know, I mean, I'm just going to move and really just sort of not get massively involved, because I've got this fight in the bag. I'm too far ahead on points with those 2 knockdowns. Those 2 knockdowns were absolutely pivotal, because when the scorecards were read out, and Taylor thinks these were a bit too close, I probably think they were a bit as well, but it was 112, 114 to Taylor across all 3 cards. So obviously with 10-8 rounds being scored for the knockdowns, there's those 2 extra points. So, you know, that was what really won it for him. But, you know, I did make him a comfortable winner on points. You know, I thought it was an amazing fight, and I thought Taylor, you know, really deserved the outcome. So the first unified world champion from Scotland since 1970, since Ken Buchanan when he beat Ismail Laguna. Incidentally, you know, Buchanan is a bit of a mentor, which I hadn't really realised for Josh Taylor, and said to him early doors, you could become unified champion like I did, and Josh always took that to heart. And said, you know, in some of the very touching pre-fight interviews, Ken, I'm coming to see you, you know, and you know, I've done this now. You know, you inspired me, and I've done it. I've become a unified champion. So he's got all 4 belts. And you know, where does he go from here? Well, the amazing thing is, you know, Taylor has stepped up and stepped up and stepped up. And like I say, it's only his 18th fight. If you look at the record of his last 6 opponents, there are 136 wins and 1 loss. That's the quality of the guys that he is fighting. And every time he steps up, you know, he brings, as I say, this indomitable will to win, this dedication, this ferocity, this skill, you know, and he just succeeds every time. But you would have thought, now having reached the pinnacle of the light welterweights, you know, you would have thought that really he would now be saying, well, look, you know, I would be thinking, you say, well, a couple of easy fights, or a couple of, you know, sort of coast a little bit. Coast is maybe the wrong word, but, you know, have some decent fights and wait for the next big fight to come along. A couple of easy paydays, but not Taylor, as he's never done that in his career. And he genuinely, and we moan about this, you know, often as fight fans, we say the best aren't fighting the best. You know, people are taking easy fights. They're not, you know, they're not 50-50 fights, etc. Taylor always seems to seek out the biggest competition, as to be fair, Ramirez always did as well. You know, seems to seek out the hardest competition, somebody to test his skills against, somebody to really push him, somebody to move him on, and he seems to want to do that. I was amazed at the end of the fight. They said, who are you thinking about next? He said Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford previously, now interestingly, Taylor was the 5th man in history to unify all 4 belts. The first one was Bernard Hopkins, then Jermaine Taylor, then Alexander Usyk, then Terence Crawford in the super lightweight division. And Terence Crawford moved up to welterweight and is now campaigning very successfully at welterweight, seen as possibly the best pound for pound, depending on who you talk to. You know, it's a toss-up between him and Alvarez. So an amazing fighter, but campaigning up there at welterweight. But immediately Taylor said, right, I want to fight Terence Crawford. I'm going to move up to welterweight and fight Terence Crawford. That'd be an amazing fight, 147 pounds, 2 undefeated guys, you know, absolutely going at it. And so I just got to take my hat off to him. I thought, you know, almost I was going to think to myself, you've arrived at the pinnacle of the sport, and now, you know, given the run you've had, how are you going to find the motivation? But he's already found, you know, another mountaintop to climb in the aftermath of the fight. And I think that's just a testament to his competitive fighting spirit. Where Ramirez goes from here, I mean, I thought he did very well in the fight. You know, Josh Taylor is exceptional. Like I said, I thought Ramirez did very well to come back. He made it close. You know, and after being knocked down in those 2 rounds in the 6th and 7th, you know, he came back very strongly. He's an incredible fighter. So, you know, I think he'll rebuild and probably go for one, you know, another one of the belts. He should fight for those belts. You know, if Taylor moves on and moves up. So just an all-out brilliant exhibition of boxing, and really, like I say, what boxing's all about. And as I say, it answered a lot of questions to those of us that moan about the sport and say the best aren't fighting the best. These were the best. They fought each other. There were no questions. It was all on the line, and they left. Both came absolutely to win. They left it all in the ring. You know, it was absolutely superb. It was a showcase for boxing. As I kind of said, it was going to be. It couldn't be a boring fight with these 2 guys. You know, it was going to be amazing. So this brings me on to the last thing I wanted to talk about. Why was it so hard to watch this amazing historic achievement by a British fighter? You know, who's paid his dues, who's done everything right, who is exciting. You know, I mean, I did mention last time, this is the super lightweight division. We used to call it like welterweight over here, and it was Ricky Hatton's old 10-stone division. Can you imagine? I know we've got a pandemic on, and so we've got to make allowances for that. But can you imagine if Hatton was in a fight of this magnitude? You know, because this is really, you know, the equivalent of him going and fighting Floyd Mayweather, in the sense that it was kind of for all the marbles. And, you know, Hatton obviously had a great career and did amazing things, but I would argue this is a greater achievement than Hatton did, and he was incredible. But if Hatton was doing this, you know, there would be 60,000 people in Vegas. It would be on the front and back pages of the paper. Everybody would know about it. And that's testament, I know, you know, to Hatton's skill and his appeal. But for Josh Taylor to have almost nothing in the papers, you know, nothing on the broadcast media, and for this fight to be broadcast only on Fight TV, you know, a very sort of niche channel who do a great job, but a fight of this magnitude deserves the Sky, the BT, you know, or even why didn't the BBC pick it up? You know, if nobody else was buying it, surely they would have got it for a song, because he just deserves the recognition. And he, you know, and surely this is the best. You know, also as boxers, we've got to look at the fact that you know, we're all talking about Floyd Mayweather, Jake Paul. That's going to be pay-per-view. It's going to get, you know, hundreds of thousands of viewers. I don't want to take anything away from those guys and what they do. But I'm just saying Josh Taylor is not getting a fair shake when you look at all the other things going on in the boxing world and you look at the quality that he is delivering. You know, boxing has to ask itself questions. When we deliver up the best matches, when we deliver up the best competitors, when we deliver up the most exciting fights, you know, which is the things that people are always moaning about, why aren't people watching if that's what they're moaning about? So, you know, somewhere along the line, the promotion, I don't know, the appetite for the sport, there's something fundamentally gone wrong there when a fight of this quality and this magnitude and this historic impact, you know, hardly gets a line in the papers. So that's all I wanted to say. But, you know, I really want, and you know, in a way, I suppose, words that might be ringing in Josh Taylor's ears. Remember when he fought Regis Prograis? Remember the press conference? Now, Regis Prograis against Josh Taylor was the culmination of the World Series of Boxing for the Muhammad Ali Trophy. It was two super lightweights going at it, both undefeated. Similar to, as I said, similar setup to this fight. And on the undercard was Derek Chisora, Joseph Parker. And, you know, scheduled, it didn't happen on that fight. And Chisora kicked off at the press conference saying, I don't understand why these guys, as in Taylor and Prograis, are top of the bill. I should be top of the bill because everybody's coming to see me. And of course, Josh Taylor said, it's a unified world title fight. We're both undefeated, etc., etc. And Chisora kicked off at him in the only way he can, saying nobody gives a fuck about the little guys. They only care about the heavyweights and they only care about the big heavyweights that are in the top 10. Nobody gives a fuck about the little guys. What, you know, I mean, we know what Chisora's like, but, you know, there must have been a bit of truth ringing in poor old Josh Taylor's ears when he's putting in this effort at this level and he's not getting that recognition. And I just think it's unfair. So, you know, I think boxing needs to look at itself. And, you know, if we could get this quality of a product out there, surely people would tune in because this really is the pinnacle of the sport. It's showing the best of the sport and what it's all about. So that's my 2 pence worth, Peter. You know what I mean? Well, maybe we'll have to broadcast it next time. But, you know, Josh Taylor, even more exciting. I mean, treasure him while he's here because he's you know, he's a legend, absolute legend in the making. And we're privileged to be able to see it.